notch firewall, and I have a new factory firewall that we're gonna weld in here. Cut this old notched one out so I could fit into more classes because factory firewall is required. So we're gonna get right to it, cut it out, weld it up, and get it ready to be painted. The factory firewall bolted up. I need these shoulders to be solid for the front subframe that's going to be bolted on there, but the factory bolt holes were rusted out, so I had to take the piece of the shoulder out and weld new nuts for the backside, and then I had to cut. We got some rust here that needs to be fixed. Welding and grinding and cleaning up all the surfaces. Nuts welded on the back side of the shoulder and all the bracing done. It ain't pretty, but we got the shoulder back in place with the with no rust holes, and we got new nuts welded on to the back side. There you go. Same thing on this side. This side was really bad. This whole shoulder was missing down here, so we had to weld in a new piece of plate and grind everything down. That way it's flat for the new firewall to lay on top of it. So I could tack weld along the edge here and the top, and then it gets welded around these braces for the subframe. So we're mocking up the new firewall, and things ain't lining up. The good old China boy special. Gonna have to splice probably a 2-inch or 1.5-inch piece to make these bolt holes line up. That's about the distance of where it should be to where it is. And that one's got a bolt over there. So, gonna have to chop her up some more. It still doesn't line up besides this one bolt over here. So I'm gonna have to close these 3, add 2 here, and add a strip, which is annoying, but it is what it is. Doing little by little, got the whole perimeter pretty much welded up. Just tacking it along the edge. Once I fill this gap, then we'll work on closing all the little holes. Don't want fire getting through there. But so far, pretty damn good. I've been using these sheet metal clamps. They're pretty awesome, especially for small, tedious stuff. The only pain in the ass is if you have them too close to each other, that on like this thin strip that I had to fill. You can't do them side by side, so you'd have to stagger them. But on this, like this square here that I gotta fill, I have I have one on each side, and it leaves it perfectly level once you get them cranked down a little bit. And you slip this through the crack of whatever sheet metal you're working on. This one's kind of bent, which a firewall is kind of a pain because I gotta go in and out constantly. But you slide the rod through on the back side, the square rod, and as you just tighten the wing nut, you're clamping the sheet metal. It keeps everything in place. Even after a couple of tacks, when things start to get a little distorted, it keeps them perfectly flat. Like this is all perfectly flat. Obviously it's got to be ground down, but there's no waves, no nothing. And all I did was I would put a clamp staggered as it goes up, and then I would tack here, tack where the clamps weren't, and then tack on either side of where the clamps were, pull the clamp out, clamp, and then tack where the clamp was. And it keeps everything nice and flat and flush. Now that we got the holes all welded up, I need to grind down all these welds, and so that we can lay some mud on this and get it prepped for seam sealer as well. And then we can prime over this whole thing, get it ready for paint. So let's get it. all in primer. Next step would be to block all these flat sections, just to make it smooth so when you lay the base coat, clear coat. But besides that, this thing's ready to go. Next up is going to be blocking the whole rest of the cab. I got to do the other quarter, the top of the quarters, and I have to do the roof and B-pillar. So after that, we're about to lay some color on this rig and get it back on the ground, make it a roller again. So that'll be exciting. So stay tuned for the next ep. Peace.